Looking at film and breaking things down, what do you feel now that you've seen it all?
LSU is a really good team, and we didn't help ourselves with the struggles that we had on offense. And but I mean, the fact that we were down 14-0 at halftime, and we were still within striking distance of making something happen. It's just hard to really evaluate it as a whole when the offense was struggling. So it's difficult to even evaluate the defense. They're on the field quite a bit of time, and the time possession. So overall, I mean, we even had a punter that tried to do his own thing. So it's just that's what happens when you're not functioning well, especially in that kind of phase. And they just shut us down. So credit to the talent that they had on LSU's defense, but we didn't help ourselves with some of the stuff that we did offensively.
What are the elements, like one or two or three things that increase the execution on offense that you can focus on? What are a couple of those things?
Well, winning first down and second down. We got to get positive yards on those two downs, and get in a better position for third downs. And that was our struggle from the first week, and we struggled again with it in the second week, even more so. And so there's things that we have to fix. I mean, as a coaching staff, we met about it. We looked at, we evaluated everything, and saw what our issues are. And I think we'll be better this weekend. And that's the goal. And that's on me. The players played hard. I mean, they're physical. They try to do as much as they can, and that's on me as a coach to get these guys ready, make sure we're ready to play.
Tanner put a lot of responsibility on himself, but how did he look on the field?
His numbers weren't great, but I mean that's it's hard to really to evaluate it without really I can't be truly honest with you guys. So Tanner knows where he sits, and our guys know where what we need to fix, and without giving Utah the game plan, So, but there's things that we're addressing, and there's things that I think we can do differently, and that will help us in offense. And there's stuff that we've done in fall camp that we're going to just go back to that.
When you have 2 weeks, like you said, where the offense wasn't impressive, how much of it is focusing really, and just staying the course versus saying what we're doing is not working right now, we need to change some things? Oh
no, you have to change it. I mean, there's no staying the course when it's not working well, and Ty knows that. And we didn't stay the course from week 1 to week 2, and we changed things up, and maybe we need to change things up more. I mean, if you want something to change, you got to do it. You got to do it in the staff room, and you got to do it as a coaching staff, and for a lot of different reasons. And there's some things that that we kind of try to feel out. That now we know definitely what we can handle. I mean, you can't really spend too much time giving a lot of guys reps. You got to have guys you can count on, and that's we have to really depend on our playmakers this Saturday.
If I read the rule right, you can't really appeal a targeting ejection. That the actual appeal is when the replay booth upheld. Is that how you?
I should be an expert at knowing the appealing and the rules and all that stuff, but I don't know. I mean, so part of the confusion in the game was that I didn't know where the flag came from or who called it, because I didn't see a flag. And once they explained to me who did it, I didn't understand, because I didn't see the total play. I mean, I knew that it was on Micah, and they said it was on number 7 on the running back, and I didn't. I mean, you're so used to seeing the receiver catching the ball high and then someone launching at him, and didn't see that, and so I was a little confused on that stuff, and I've just never seen it called on a running back. But after reviewing the play, I mean, he did hit with the crown of his head, and after watching it in slow motion and being able to review it again, that's not the way we teach people to tackle. And so, I understand the rule and why we want to keep people protected, and I agree with it. So the way Coach Lamb and the way our defensive staff teaches the tackle, that's not part of it. And it's a difficult lesson for Micah to learn, but we anticipate going to this game without him in the first half.
Kavika Fanua and KJ Hall seem to go down in that game. Are you expecting them back? What's their status?
Yeah, so I think we'll kind of wait and see more on KJ than Kavika. I think Kavika will be fine, but no, it's just hard to. I'm not a doctor, but and they're not out, so that's the way I'm saying it right now.
You've had a lifetime in this rivalry game as a player, and as a fan, and as a coach. What's maybe the one thing that you try to get across to your players this week?
Well, it's a cool experience, and it just seems like regardless of how the teams are doing in the season, the games have been pretty close in the last decade, So I think just keep battling out, and for us to try to, people say you treat it like another game, but it's not. I mean, they're 40 miles up north, and there's a lot of connections between the two. So you just try to play it well, knowing that our strengths and knowing that they're close. But other than that, I mean, it's gonna be a packed house. We're excited to be home, But for right now, I think for us the distraction will be that we have to focus on trying to just play better as an offense, and there's some things that we can do differently defensively. So I mean, having that experience last weekend, it's not something that you liked, but I'm grateful that we can learn from it and then try to make it, try to improve and get better this weekend. That's the focus now, and not really so much on the rivalry, but we know that it's proximity and everything that's involved with the game. We know that, but there's other things that are keeping us focused on right now, and that's being more efficient as an offense and together as a team. I mean, the offense kind of threw us off as a group. When you have like I said before, you have a punter that's thinking that he can try to make something happen. I mean, if you had told me I think it was 8 minutes in the fourth quarter, we were holding 20 points, I'd have probably taken that, and so it cost us, and our defense surrendered a touchdown, and you guys saw last night in the game where UCLA made a great comeback. I mean, momentum can swing really quickly, but the focus is for everybody to do their part, do their job, and then be effective in your job, and then we'll see what happens. That's the goal. And from all the guys on our team, from the scout team players, to just do their job and we'll be fine.
Do you ever miss the days when you only had to worry about the defense?
I mean, I think it's more now. You just stress about everything else, and I got more gray hairs, and I don't know if that's because of age or because I have to worry about everything now, but yeah, I mean, it's part of the deal, but I love it. So it's not like, to me, it's not too stressful, especially when you feel like you can make things better. I'd be really nervous if we didn't have the players I think can play better than what we did. It's disappointing, and where I feel really bad is that our fans had to watch that, and that's, like I said, that's my fault. So we'll make sure that we do better as a team and make sure that we do better as a coaching staff. But our players played hard. We just ran to a really good team, and we didn't play our best, and that cannot happen this weekend because we got another great team coming into our home.
What are your early impressions of Utah?
Oh, I mean, that's what we always see. I'm used to seeing that, and I recognize a lot of stuff that they're doing, defensively and offensively. They have a really good quarterback. I think he's dangerous on the ground, and he had a lot of rushes, and they've done a great job. And when I was there in the past, our goal was try to get more depth and try to be so that when you lose somebody, when I was there, we lost Eric Weddle, and then it was a drop off. So you're trying to get it where there's not much of a drop off when you lose seniors, and I think they're getting there. I mean, what I see, they've replaced 4 draft picks at O-line with really good, solid players, and I see they have a young defensive backfield, but those guys are capable and they're good players too. So that's a huge compliment to the coaching staff and the recruiting and what Coach Witt has done and what his vision was from before. And that has a lot of influence on what I want to do as a coach here. And so the goal here, I've been talking about it from before, is to make sure that we have better depth and that we play better. And you can do it in 2 ways. You can do it with development and with recruiting. And so that's what the goal is. And I see them being consistent. They're a really good team and really good speed, and it's the stuff that we've seen in the past. And yeah, it's nice.
From your years at Utah, how did they approach the rivalry game? You just said don't take it one game like any other game. How did Utah approach it that maybe BYU, when you got here, you found that they maybe didn't approach it the same way, or did they?
Well, I don't know. I can't speak on how they did it here, but I know that every game is the biggest game of the year. So this week, this game is the biggest game of the year. Last week, that was the same thing. So our focus has been, I think naturally it just happens. The guys know what it is about, and even the newcomers. So if you have guys that have just never been involved with the rivalry, they get it, they understand it, and it just naturally happens. I don't think it's anything like I did that we can do on purpose. Just let the process happen, and I think Coach Witt's done a great job at making sure that you're focused on that game that week, and so we try to do the same thing. I mean, I think it's no secret that a lot of my influence in coaching has come from Lavelle and Kyle Whittingham and Gary Anderson. So that's obviously I'm going to do what they think and what they've done, and that's what we're trying to do here too. But some of the stuff that I've learned from Lavelle and some of the stuff that's unique to BYU, I think gives us an edge and gives our coaching staff an edge, especially in recruiting. But when it comes to a rivalry game, we just got to win. That's the key. And the focus is you get a better chance of winning if you play better and you're more efficient. And that's got to be all three phases. And there's a really good team coming into town, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to play them.
How much, if at all, is the streak talked about, and what would it mean to this team to be the team that breaks that streak?
Yeah, I'm not talking about any streaks. I mean, that's trying to focus on this one game. We're trying to break the streak of losing from last game to this one. So we want to win, and trying to break the streak of bad offensive play. You know, so and on defense we get better on fundamentals. I mean, we had some missed tackles that you know, for the most part, I've seen guys turn some of those missed tackles into big runs, and he didn't have a lot of those in our game. I mean, but. So it's a huge credit to our guys hustling to the ball, but there's a lot of times we missed tackles that we should have brought him down. And he's a really good athlete. He's done that to a lot of different people, but there's things we could do fundamentally as a defense to be better, and there's things we do definitely with fundamentals of technique and you know, scheme that we can do better on offense, and so that's the goal. The streak, I don't talk about it. I mean, I was on the other side for what 4 of those wins, so it doesn't really matter anything. It doesn't matter. It's not about me as a coach. It's about what we do as a program. And the past doesn't win you games. The present does, and that's what we're focused on.
You talked about the fact that there were some missed tackles. Offensive guys have seemed to have trouble breaking tackles on the other side, making plays in that sense. In hindsight, do you wish you'd been more physical in camp, so maybe they'd be able to, you know, have that experience to build off of from August?
Oh, we're physical in camp. I mean, you guys didn't see all of it. You know, that's. But when you don't have 2 days, it's going to be way less physical than it was last year or 2 years ago, or if you talked to me 20 years ago, you know. So the game of football has changed a bit. I mean, you look at the NFL, the way they practice is way different than and so there's going to probably be a drop-off, but everybody has to deal with that, you know. And we could be sitting here saying, well, if you had been more physical and then you lose people, then we're not as deep as a lot of other places. And so you kind of have to play between, it's a thin line between the two. So I think what we did is try to prepare for that, and you have to give them a lot of credit. They're really good athletes on that team, you know, and we got great athletes coming here, but we didn't help ourselves. I feel a lot better if we played more effectively and ran our offense that I've seen in fall camp. I'd feel better even if we lost, if the matchup was different, if we gave ourselves a chance. But it's really hard to evaluate that when it was. I mean, it just, with 38 plays of offense, that just can't happen. Our defensive, we had 81 snaps that we graded, you know, and the time of possession, so it's hard to really evaluate it. And I know I'm coming down hard on the offense, but man, let's be honest, that was the issue. And Ty knows that, and our offensive players know that, and Tanner knows it, so we'll fix it.
This is a game that elicits a lot of emotion for people, and I've had a lot of players say that they like it. Do you enjoy this rivalry?
I love football, and this rivalry is a big part of it. And so, yeah, and I mean, it's one of the best games in the country, you know. So I think there's a lot of respect on both sides of you know, from Utah and BYU. There's tremendous amount of respect, and so I mean, it's fun, and that's what college football is all about. This type of weekend. So we'll try to enjoy the process and try to get a W.
And turnovers have played such a huge role in this. There seems to be a lot of turnovers on both sides. Why do you think that is? Is it because both teams emphasize causing turnovers so much? What do you think that is?
Well, other than the score, I think even Coach Witt will tell you that that's the most important stat, right? So, yeah, so the key is not to turn the ball over and to get turnovers. And so and to try to score. That's what we're going to try to do. And, yeah, I mean, I don't think we started off right last year. I believe it was a pick 6. So let's try not to do that this year, you know. And, I mean, that'll be an improvement. And I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do differently that will give us a better chance to win. But we could be here for a long time before we do that.
Anything else? The way Ty is regrouping this week, like you said, you had some rough days yourself at Oregon State. Like, for example, how did you deal with that?
Thanks for bringing that up. Well, I mean, you understand what you're dealing with, and you understand your talent. I think more of his disappointment was that we're way better than what we've shown the last 2 weeks. And we've been talking about that for a while now, and no one's seen it. So until it shows up, it'd just be all of us that knows that. And you know, if you talk to the players, you can sense the same thing. So let's just show. What a great week for us to show up and play like we should. You know, so but you got to get over it. You know, that's how you deal with disappointment. And we said it before that a lot of life is how you react to it. So whether it's positive or negative, and in this case, some of the stuff will make you want to throw up. So you got to just put it out of your brain. Let's go. You know, there's a. And luckily we have a game this weekend to make up for it. So.
Thanks so much, Coach.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.